An employee carrying multiple guns opened fire on coworkers at a Valley Transportation Authority light rail facility in San Jose on Wednesday morning, killing 9 and injuring several other workers. Here are the details. The shooting began just after 6:30 a.m. on the morning of Wednesday, May 26th, in the city of San Jose in California. At that time, several 911 calls reported shots being fired near a maintenance yard of the Valley Transit Authority. Members of a union representing VTA workers were meeting in the yard when the shooting began, and some reports suggest that the shooting started at the meeting. The attacker was identified as 57-year-old Sam Cassidy. Most of the shooting happened in the maintenance yard of the facility. Police rushed to the scene and confronted the shooter within minutes of the start of the incident. Officers say the shooter had more than one gun and was shooting single shots when they approached him. When the shooter saw the police, he shot himself immediately, leaving 9 victims dead and many injured. A fire started at a house that authorities believed to be Cassidy's home at around the same time as the shooting started. Cassidy's ex-wife told the Associated Press that he had a bad temper and would rail about being treated unfairly at work. The 9 victims were all employees of the Valley Transportation Authority. Their names and ages were Alex Ward Fitch, 49, Michael Rudomekin, 40, Lars Lane, 63, Paul Mejia, 42, Tadajip Singh, 36, Adrian Baleza, 29, Jose Hernandez, 35, Timothy Romo, 49, and Abdulwahab Alagmandan, 63. 10 people were killed in a Boulder, Colorado grocery store when a gunman opened fire in the parking lot and continued shooting inside the store. The BBC reports that the shooting occurred at about 3 p.m. at a King Soopers supermarket in the Table Mesa area of Boulder. One of the murder victims was the first police officer on the scene. Witnesses said they heard shots and saw bodies lying in the parking lot. The shooter then entered the store and kept shooting. Survivors said they escaped through the service entrance at the back of the store, while others managed to leave via the front entrance. Video footage of the scene showed a half-naked, short, bald, bearded man being led away from the shop in handcuffs before he was placed on a stretcher and loaded into an ambulance. The man in custody appeared to have a bloody leg and was limping as he walked. This man was arrested and admitted to shooting dead 8 people in the Atlanta area on Tuesday, March 16th. 6 of the 8 victims were Asian and 7 were women. Here are the details. The BBC reports that Robert Aaron Long admitted he committed the Atlanta area shooting spree that left 6 Asian women and 2 others dead on Tuesday, March 16th. Investigators say Long denied that the attack was motivated by race. The suspect told them he suffers from sex addiction and sees the locations where he murdered as a personal temptation that he wanted to eliminate. Police say the shooting spree started at around 5 p.m. on Tuesday at Young's Asian Massage in Ackworth. Here, Long killed 2 Asian women, a white woman and a white man. He also wounded a Hispanic man. Less than an hour later, police were called to a robbery in progress at Gold Spa in northeast Atlanta. When they arrived at the spa, police found the bodies of 3 Asian women who had been shot dead. Officers were then called to a spa across the street called Aromatherapy Spa, where they found another woman shot dead. Long had a 9mm handgun and did not resist when he was arrested in Crisp County, about 240 kilometers south of Atlanta.
Only 4 days after churchgoers in France were stabbed to death in their church by an Islamist migrant, an Islamist terrorist on Monday opened fire on citizens in Austria's capital, Vienna. Austrian police were frantically searching for more terrorists after killing the lone gunman. As chaos enveloped the famously beautiful city center, the terrorists killed 4 people and heavily wounded 13 others. The murderous rampage started around 8 p.m. near the Seidensteingasse synagogue, when the heavily armed Muslim immigrant opened fire on people dining at pavement cafes and restaurants. Members of the Austrian police quickly arrived at the scene. 1 policeman was shot and critically wounded before the perpetrator, armed with an AK-47, a pistol, and a machete, was killed around 8:09 p.m. Death and injuries were reported at 5 other locations in the surrounding area, namely Marienplatz, the meat market, the farmers market, South Greece Street, and the famous Graben Walkway. According to the BBC, Austria's interior minister described the dead gunman as an Islamist terrorist and an immigrant who had been in jail for wanting to travel to Syria to join Islamic State jihadists.
At least 59 people were killed and 527 injured when a sniper opened fire at a Las Vegas concert on Sunday night. Gunman Stephen Paddock, identified as a 64-year-old white male, opened fire at 10:08 p.m. from the 32nd floor of the Mandalay Bay Hotel toward Route 91 Harvest Country Music Festival. Paddock was staying in a large suite with 2 rooms. Authorities believe he used both rooms to shoot from different angles. The shooting went on from between 5 to 15 minutes, however, estimates vary. Authorities found dozens of guns in his hotel room and at least 19 firearms and bombs at his Nevada residence. Authorities were able to locate Paddock quickly because the smoke from his guns set off the fire alarm. Around the time when the SWAT team entered Paddock's room, he reportedly opted to kill himself instead of facing the consequences of his heinous actions. 2 years ago, having vowed to give police powers to slaughter gun-toting bandits, the former governor of the state of Rio de Janeiro, Wilson Witzel, announced himself in his new role by tweeting a video of himself apparently flying over gang-controlled areas as police officers fired shots into it. Now, with Witzel having been impeached on corruption charges according to the New York Times, his replacement appears to have announced himself with an even more violent gesture. Here's what you need to know. Just days after the new governor of the state of Rio de Janeiro, Claudio Castro, took office saying he would prioritize reducing crime, at least 25 people, including 1 police officer, have been killed in a police operation in its capital, according to the New York Times. The Guardian reports around 200 police targeted an alleged drug trafficker gang in the working-class district of Jacarezinho. Intense gunfire erupted as they entered the area in the early morning, according to local media outlet Globo. A police helicopter flew low as armed men fled by jumping between rooftops, according to images shown on local television seen by the BBC. The Associated Press spoke to witnesses describing police killing already wounded men. Najini Borges, vice president of the Human Rights Commission at Brazil's Bar Association, told the New York Times there were executions of people who had already surrendered, adding it was absolute barbarism. Rodrigo Oliveira, a deputy police chief, said officers conducted themselves lawfully, adding that the only execution that took place was that of the police officer. At least 2 train passengers were struck by stray bullets as their train was caught in crossfire, according to the New York Times. Security forces in Brazil have regularly been accused of using excessive force against the civilian population, according to the BBC, and this is the deadliest operation in Rio de Janeiro since 2016. A court ruling limiting police action in poor neighborhoods of Rio de Janeiro during the pandemic to only that viewed as essential appears to not have been applied here.
For more news animations and explainers, hit the subscribe and bell button to join the TomoNews family. Thanks for watching.